We're going to continue another 10 minutes in Sichos Haran. Okay, we're holding Lamed Aleph 31. Continuing, yeah. So Nachman says, Rui lehiz dudais lespal tumet baboiker hashkaim. He says it's proper that we should be very careful to daven constantly in the morning, as early as possible. Chol ma sheyichal, the earliest that we could. Explains the reason for it is because how great the benefit of tefillah is. Because it's so precious. He explains. He says if you don't daven so early, who knows? As the day goes along, who knows if you're gonna merit to daven that day. He says al-kain, therefore kol mashich lahaktem atzmoi roy lezoriz ma'oid lahaktem. He says so. As a eitzah, he says the more earlier you can daven, you should make sure to try to daven as early as possible. Okay, that's 31. Just a quick summary. Just CHIZZUK, good CHIZZUK, because we're living in times. If we live in the big cities, depending on everyone, everyone's different situations daily, but we could daven. There's minyanim, many minyanim. There's from Alois Shachar till you can daven till 10, 11, 12. This is just how it is in the big cities. Nachman's telling us, and this is building on the last Sichos Haran, and as we'll soon see, Nachman talks tremendously about just the koyach of tefillah, davening. He says it's so precious, so you should try to daven as early as possible, because who knows if that day you might you push it off and then you might lose the opportunity. Okay, we're going to do Lamed Bais. Yeah, next one, 32. The next one, this is a tremendous CHIZZUK on EMUNAH. What we're about to hear is things that we don't normally hear. But this is a tremendous CHIZZUK. We're going to jump in. Ready? Lamed Bais. He explains, Surich lechazek es atzmai be'emunah. You have to strengthen yourself with emunah. Levli lichnois, don't enter bechakiras, klal. No philosophy at all. Levli la'ayin, and he says, and also don't look klal b'sfarim shamachakrim. Don't look at any sfarim that comes to philosophize. Rak lahamen b'Hashem Yisbarach. He says believe in Hashem Yisbarach. Be'emunah levad, just with emunah, only emunah. Li shim chakiras klal, with no sophistication. Okay? Anyway, even though shnid meloni she'amoin am, this is 200 something years ago, he's telling you. Even though if it appears that, the common person, he says, even though he says that it appears, you look at the average person and it appears to you, there's no, sophistication, there's no philosophizing going on within them in emunah. Continuing, he says like this, he says, you should know be'emes, kilam e ma'rob b'chakiras. He says, everyone was mixed in with some kind of chakiras. He says, kol ech ve'echad yesh lechakiras. He says, everyone has some sort of chakiras. This is what he's saying 200 years ago. Okay, continuing. Even little children, he says, it comes into their thoughts, thoughts of philosophy and confusion in their emunah. Continuing. He says, he says, the truth is, every person has to be very careful. You have to distance yourself from these, sophistication, this philosophizing from your mind. You should, throw them away from your mind. Don't leave any kind of philosophizing, sophistication in regards to your emunah in your heart, in your mind. He says, "Rak," again, this is CHIZZUK. "Rak laham and Hashem iv'tzadikim amitiyim." It says, just believe in Hashem and true tzadikim amitiyim, be'emunah, with simple belief. Levav b'li shim chakiras klal. He's repeating Similar, same word because it's so important. We need to hear these words. Just, no chakiras. Continuing. He says, why? He's going to tell you why. Because we already merited 2,000, 3,000 something hundred years ago. We merited lekabter seinak doshet. We already received the Holy Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu ol v'shalom. We received the Torah from Moshe Rabbeinu ol v'shalom. And we already had tzaddikim, great and awesome tzaddikim in every generation, right? Since Moshe Rabbeinu, v'roi loni, and it's proper for us, lismach aleim, we could rely on them, li shimcha kiris, without any kind of sophistication or philosophizing. The leilich be'ek voisim laham l'shem yisbarach, just to go in their footsteps and to believe in Hashem like they instructed us to, with PSHUTIS, with simplicity. L'kayim terasa and mitzvahs of just and be mekayim the Torah and the mitzvahs, yeah. Kasha mos yiloni aveseni hakdoshim, just as we have in the Messiah from our fathers, our holy fathers, yeah. Continuing. He explains, when a person goes with simplicity, with a minna, yeah, levad, only simplicity and a minna, lishim chakiris, without any kind of, philosophy, yochol liskois, he says, then you're capable of meriting, listen, you have to merit the following. Sheyaz Hashem Yisbarach, that Hashem should help you. Sheyovoy lebechinas rotzain, and you should actually merit a certain level, which is called ratzon, which is desire. Hashem can give you a gift of desire. It's like it's a level. He explains, shehi lemal lemechachma. It's even higher than wisdom. Okay, continuing. He explains, ki be'emes, the truth is chachma de kedusha. If it's wisdom, but from kedusha, he lemala me emunah. It's higher than emunah. Continuing, yeah. Aval, he says, but even though, he says, only tzrichim, we have to, don't go with no chachmas and chakiras, rak be'emunah levad, in Hashem. He explains, ki emunah hi dover chozak ma'od, it's something very strong, okay? Continuing. And he explains, now, if a person, if a person goes with emunah, only emunah, yeah? Licha kiris, no philosophy, no chachmas when it comes to emunah. Then he can be merited to become levechinas rotzain, to this level of rotzain, desire. Continuing, shehi lamala, which is higher afili mechachma. It's even higher than chachma. The Haran, he explained meaning that you can merit to have such a powerful desire. Chozak ma'oid, so strong, El Vizbarach, B'shtoikes Nimrod ma'oid, that Hashem can give you this desire that's so powerful, you can be drawn to Hashem. Continuing, listen to this. Till shalayeda ma'alasas klol negoidel hashtoikes, till you won't even know what to do. You're gonna feel it's an atana that Hashem can give you when you go with simple faith in Hashem. Hashem can give you a gift of Ratzon that you won't even know what to do with it. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing to have that. The Yitzchak, the Chili, then you'll find yourself Yitzchak crying out. Yitzchak is coming where this is how we came out of Mitzrayim. If you know the story of Mitzrayim, the way we came out, we said Vanitzak, and then we got Geula. So if a person goes with complete, simple emunah, no chakiras, he can merit this type of level of Ratzon. Okay, continuing. He said, you should know, yesh chakron, there is a philosopher, there's a philosopher. Every person has a built-in philosopher. Okay? The Haini, who is that? Habal Dover. This is the Baal Dover, it's our Yetzirah. She machnas chakiras b'leiv adam, that he enters, he causes to enter, sophistication, philosophizing in the heart, in the mind of a person. And our job is we have to humble him and we have to drive him out. We have to drive out from our heart. We have and drive out the sophistication and just strengthen the emunah as explained above. Continuing, he says. Now he's going to explain something that it might not be, we may not have ever heard these type of words, but this is very holy words. Ready? Continuing. And he says the following: Kiesh Averis, he says there's certain Averis that a person does, okay? If you do certain Averis, it causes to enter a person kefiris. Kefiris is questions on Hashem. Yeah, continuing. Now he explains, and now he says some people they have these thoughts on their emunah for a different reason, which is because they weren't conceived from their parents with kedusha. So it's not their fault, let's just say, but he's explaining to you. Nachman is just coming to explain to you why you may have these thoughts. Okay, continuing. The yesh, and he's explaining the yesh, and to some people that they were born without, because the parents didn't conceive them with the right kedusha, okay? And on top of that, and these people later on they can also add on, by their own actions, which can cause them to have these, thoughts of, questions on Hashem. Continuing. And he explains, yes, Averis, because certain Averis, as he explained above, there's certain Averis that actually cause a pagam in a person's amina, okay? But Nachman just coming here just to give us background why we have certain thoughts, okay? Continuing, now he explains, and if this is our situation, he says, listen, he tells you what you need. You have to have bisha. Bisha is not like an embarrassment that you're embarrassed. It's bisha. It's a good embarrassment because it's embarrassment from Hashem. Yeah. Lev nishbar. This is not depression. Lev nishbar is a broken heart. Okay. Shemish yesh lechakiris machshavos eli chad v'shol. He says because if somebody has these type of thoughts about emunah and Hashem, he says roila. You should know it's proper. You should be very embarrassed of it. Unless you're that you were born with, this is not your fault, but you should have busha that you weren't born, with the right kedusha, right? Okay, continuing. Or you did on your own certain actions, that brought you to this, that she'avoy loy machshavet keneged them in the seniak kedusha chvod Hashem molei kol haaretz. And he's saying that it's proper that you should have this type of busha, that you're having these thoughts on Hashem, because he explains because if a person as we know Hashem fills the whole world, and here we have questions on Hashem even though Hashem is everywhere, right? And on this person and on this person, we're getting these thoughts that's coming the gorshay, which trying to drive us out to disconnect us, to uproot us from the living God, yeah. Asher he Chaim, he's born with all Shmoy, and he's the Chaim, right? He's the life of the life, right? These Allah Shemai, may his name be elevated. Continuing, now he explains the Ein Tzorch Lavor Goyla Bisha. He says, and he's saying we don't have to explain the Goyla Bisha, how great this embarrassment that it's proper for a person to have if he does have these type of thoughts on his emunah and Hashem. But Nachman is just giving us background to understand ourselves, but he's going to give us good eitzes. Okay, continuing. Now he explains Vaidei Bisha. Now when a person has Bisha, V'leiv Nishbar, he explains to us how we actually get rid of these, thoughts of Chakira on our Amina. He says Vaidei Bisha, V'leiv Nishbar, when we have this broken heart to Hashem, and Bisha, through that, he says Megorsh Meshabach Yus Machshavas Hanal. That's how we actually drive away and we break these, these thoughts of chakiras and philosophy on emunah and Hashem. Yeah, continuing. And he says, the emes, you should know the emes is the emunah. He in yechozek ma'oid. It's a Indian of tremendous strength. V'chayev chazuk ma'oid ada emunah. And when a person has emunah, you have such a strong life. He explains, because he says, because if a person has proper emunah, yeah, if you have a emunah in Hashem, then even if a person Yisurim, he has Yisurim, he has hardships, yeah, continuing, Chaz v'sholom, yeah. Azai, he says, then Yichel Nacham Atma, he could console himself, Elachayis Atma, and he could revive himself. Ki Hashem is worth Yerachem, all of that because he has the moon in Hashem, and he could console himself and daven to Hashem because he has a moon that Hashem should have mercy on them, right? And Hashem should make his future better, yeah. Vayisirim, and he understands that his Yisurim heim loy l'toiva, and they are for his benefit, il chapar, or it's for atonement, kapara. And he knows because he has a munah, yet, and in the end, Hashem is baruch. In the end, Hashem is going to do good for him. In this world or in Olam Haba, because he has a munah, right? So he's able to use his munah even when he has Yisurim to strengthen himself. Yeah, continuing. But this person that's busy with philosophy and he doesn't have the munah, look at this. He's going to explain to such a person, when it comes to him, whatever kind of hardship, look at this. He says, he doesn't have where to turn because he doesn't have proper munah, right? He doesn't have where to revive himself or to console himself because he's busy with the thoughts, right? With the chakiras. Continuing. He says the smart person, the person that's the intellectual person with emunah is going to understand these things on his own. He's going to understand one thing from another. Because he's explaining with writing, you can't explain it all. This is continuing, yeah. The general rule is the following: the main thing is minna. But no sophistication, no philosophizing, klal at all. And through that, you'll be strengthened in this world. You'll be strengthened in this world and you'll never fall. Ashrei, fortunate is such a person. Continuing, yeah. I know this is a long one, but I want to finish it. Yeah, continuing. He says also this. He says, "Tzorich ledas." You have to know. Shesh neshamas kesheres. There are neshamas kesheres. Just pure souls from when they were born. Should know the b'chashres that they were born with chashres, with kashrus. That they were conceived in holiness. Continuing, V'gam lo kilkli masayim, and also as they continued on, they didn't, they were makalkal. They didn't, do any kind of averas to mess up their emunah. He's explaining, you should know that there are these pure neshamas that they didn't do anything, to cause any of these thoughts to come to them of questions of emunah. And he explains Ka'eli, and he says, and these people he's referring to, even if you would speak about, philosophizing in front of them, he says, they won't even have any question, even if you come to them with your questions on Emunah and Hashem, and you won't be able to confuse them at all. Yeah, continuing. And he's going to give you an example of what these type of neshamas, these people are like. He says, this could be compared to, and so he's explaining when you speak of the Tava Yediyah, I'll leave it at that. Tava Yediyah, the known desire. Okay, he says when you speak of the known desire, Ifnei Soris, before someone who is a Soris. Soris means he cannot, he's a Soris. So Soris means he can't he can't have relations because he's a Soris. Yeah. Okay, continuing. So he has no desire. So certainly, if you speak about this desire in front of him, you don't tempt him at all. Yeah, continuing, he says, "Kain Eli Anoshim Kisherim." So too, these are Anoshim Kisherim that he just mentioned. Hanal Einam Shoim Klo. They don't listen at all to any kind of talks about questions on the Emunah. And doesn't even enter, even the whole world could be talking about questions of Chakiris, philosophizing about Emunah and Hashem. It doesn't get to them at all. Continuing, he says that the emes, you should know the emes is Hakishis v'Chakiris alamoin am. These questions and these Chakiris, this philosophizing of the general people in the world, he says, hey, shtissen gedolim, it's shtissen gedolim. Ve'enim kishis kolam, they're not even questions. Yeah, continuing, yeah. He says, the yesh bnei adam, some people, he says, sheholchem, that they go and eze kishya, zman rab, they think they have some kind of question, a question about the EMUNAH, yeah? And they go with this question for a long time, yeah? He says, the emes, he says, the truth is, hakishya shaloi, he teretz. The question that the person has, the question is the answer. He's going to explain how. He says, "Rak." However, machmas she'ein lo das nidim lo lekishya. Because this person doesn't have das, he doesn't have intelligence. It appears to him that it's a question, but it's not really a question. Continuing, he says, "Kamo." He'll give you an example. Kamo the mushal. So an example is, he says, that you ask a child, yeah. You ask a child that you say to the child, look, the window, you have a window with glass panes, yeah, a bunch of glass panes in the window, and one of the glass panes broke, yeah, it broke. So you ask the child, so you say, so you ask the child, one of the glass panes broke. He says, you say to the child, maybe we should take, a glass from another pane from this window, and we should put it into this one that broke. Should we do that? You ask the child. He says, if you do that, then so you ask the child, should I do that? But if I do that, then you ask the child, then a bird can fly in from the window, this glass that I just took the other glass from, right? So you ask a child such a question, right? So again, just to clarify the question, he's showing you how this question will have the answer within it. So you ask the child, you say, look, you have a glass with, a window with a bunch of panes, and one pane, one square broke. So you ask the child, should we take from another pane the glass and replace the first one? Should we do that? And if we do that, then a bird can fly into the next pane. Yeah, so he asked the child such a question. And he explained, so when you ask the child this question, meaning, and in this question, you already put in the answer, he says, so this child, because he's a child, he thinks, "Oh, this is a good question," and he's thinking about it. He doesn't know what to answer because to the child it seems like it's a big question. Continuing, Nachman explains, if the whole thing is a shtis. Why? He says, right? This question that you're asking, that now the bird's going to fly in, yeah, as we just explained. He tears al kishir is showing you such this. He says that's the answer to the question that we just asked. Cause it's a silly question. Continuing, he explains, he says, because the truth is ein loichen b'shvil zeh schich l'sheni list time ki yivach derech sham. So the answer basically is no. You shouldn't replace the first pane with the second pane, because obviously the bird's going to fly in. So that's the answer, right? However, the Rakatina, the little child, machmas chesron avanosa, because he lacks, understanding. He doesn't know that you're already including the answer with the question. And to the child, it appears like it's a big question. Yeah, continuing. He says, mamash. So too exactly, it says, mamash, and they all these people, shenichas believe enters into their heart. Yeah. Kishya shall shtis, questions on EMUNAH shtis, yeah, continuing, Ke'eli, similar to this, like we just, this example with the child, with the window, Kishya, this question that these people have, he teretz, this is the answer. Because these people lack intelligence, it appears to them, it's a big question, yeah? He says, understand this well. Continuing, he said, he says, therefore, you have to, let go of these, of your das, of your chakiras, run away, mikishas, from these questions, the chakiras, shtissen, v'bilim, the things, these confusing, questions. He says, Rak, what do you do? Lechazek ezatzmai, strengthen yourself, minna levad, kaniska el, as explained above. Just strengthen yourself with a minute. Okay, so that's the end. Sichos around 32. Okay, it was a long one. Tremendous CHIZZUK because, Nachman is discussing things that you don't hear, every day. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to give a summary on this one because it's a long one, and each person should take out what they need from it. The main thing is, Nachman is saying, take simple EMUNAH. And I give a small mashal. Imagine a person is in the ocean, and it's at the, he fell off the ship, and all he has to hold on is a piece of wood, and that's all he has. He hold on to it, no matter what, till the storm goes away. Yeah, similar with our EMUNAH PSHUTA that we have. The whole world could be coming up with philosophies and this and that, and hold on to the simple EMUNAH in Hashem, and we're going to be all right. Okay, I'll stop here.